And we're on the air!
Hey, we're on the air. That means we're back from vacation.
Yes.
Hot diggity dog. So I'm Susie. That's Matt. This is Suzilla. Welcome to our office in Wenatchee. We're at Wenatchee Insurance Agency in Wenatchee, Washington. And this is Suzilla, our podcast. So exciting. So yeah, we missed it. We weren't here last week because we were on vacation because, well, we needed a vacation.
It'd been a couple years and travel is kind of important.
Yeah, well, it's very important to us because it gives a chance to put our heads somewhere besides at the office.
Yeah, and it provides perspective that you can bring back.
Absolutely.
And the current trend in the United States is we're going to lose 12.5 billion from the travel industry.
From people not coming into the United States?
From not people coming into the United States.
Yeah, and I imagine a big chunk of that's from Canada.
Well, it's not just coming in from the United States, it's also domestic travel.
People traveling from point A to point B within the United States?
Yeah.
Why aren't they doing that? Because it's expensive?
It's expensive. B, there's a certain uncertainty in the economy.
Yeah.
C, there's a lot of inflation. It's just gobbling up people's disposable income.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
So there's some very big concerns going on, and so you're starting to see some of the bigger travel centric cities offer some hard incentives to visit.
I can see that.
I've heard some outrageous deals for Vegas.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Vegas is probably getting hit very, very hard.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that there are going to be some iconic places that will struggle and may not make it through this next year.
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the things you're going to run into is, at the very least, things like, first off, the national parks, for example, are not being supported.
Yeah. And I know that there was a push in our local park, since we do have some federal agencies that are in charge of our forest, but because of the stripping of the staff,
they got doged.
There's no real way to, support that system.
No, and which means that anything that is run by the national parks teams, they're at the very bare bones right now. So which means, well, the porta potties aren't getting emptied. All kinds of, I don't know. I imagine some of the state-run, the federal-run hotels. Well, actually, like at Yellowstone and Yosemite, those got subcontracted out.
Those are subcontracted out, so it's really hard to say how those are doing.
But we know that they're not. We know that their staffing is down. But the tour guides and the, like for example, in California, in the Redwoods, there's some teams of national park rangers that are all about preservation and education, and I imagine a bucket load of them lost their jobs.
Yeah.
And that is something that makes the tour going there that much more special. Yeah, you can walk through the Reds of, wow, it's a big tree. But if you talk to, Ranger Joe, who's taking you on a tour, he can tell you about this specific tree probably and what lives in that tree.
You definitely want to check out, if you're going to the national parks, you want to check out and contact them to make sure that they're still available.
Absolutely. They might not even have camping or tourism available.
See what services are supported.
Yeah.
We recently lost the Grand Canyon Hotel.
Yeah.
Been there since like 1937.
Yeah. It burned.
It's iconic. It was the one in Vacation.
Yeah. National Lampoon's Vacation. Yeah.
So
it burned.
Yeah, they're having a big, massive fire down there, and that takes resources.
It does. And that's one of the problems when you start slashing those resources. Is if there is a fire, if there is an emergency, it's harder to solve the problem. That's a big part of the problem right there.
So that's the tourism is an $87 billion industry in Vegas.
Wow.
And this article's a little bit old, but I've seen that some of the tipped workers are saying that they're seeing about half.
Tips are probably one of the first things that goes down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there's oh, no tax on tips. Well, I guess I don't need to tip you as much.
Yeah, there is that weird no tipping mentality,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's some that don't even realize that, hey, ground beef is more expensive than the national minimum wage.
Yeah. Yeah. Because a pound of ground beef will run you probably in the neighborhood of about $8 an
Six to $8.
$6 to $8, and the federal minimum wage is $7.25.
Yeah.
So yeah, a pound of ground beef is more than an hour of wage
For the feds.
for the feds.
So, and some of those states have tipping wages which are lower than that.
Yeah, if you've got the tipping wages, you've got like a base wage of like $3.25, something
Mhm.
ridiculous like that, and then if you want to make it to anything livable, it's all tippage.
Yeah.
We don't do that in Washington State, but other states do.
Other states do, and it's very important to understand. We are. I heard one TikToker put it is we're 50 third world countries stacked in an overcoat.
There you go.
And because if you start to look at some of the domestic stats of each individual state, it can get kind of depressing really quick.
Oh yeah, I mean we're looking at. Oh, there's your cup. Yeah, some of our states have lower standards than what are considered third world countries.
Yeah.
Lower levels of education, lower levels of death rates, lower levels of. The other country has a lower level of death rate, but maternal death.
The maternal death rates are kind of shocking.
It's like that's okay. I'm sorry. We shouldn't be having
literacy rates.
It's kind of ridiculous.
But you don't see those if you're in the little bubble that you've created for yourself. If you don't escape that bubble every so often, you don't realize those things.
Right. So it's important to escape your bubble. And when you escape your bubble, don't think that where you're going is in your bubble.
Yeah, because it's going to be different.
It will be. And, maybe you're going to a state that doesn't pay the minimum wage for tipped workers is what you've got here where you're living, So make sure that you tip appropriately. Treat people with grace. Be a good tourist.
Well, a good example for being a good tourist is we rolled in last Monday, or was it Tuesday? I can't remember.
Tuesday.
And we rolled in there, and with the 2:00 check-in, and the poor gal that was cleaning the cabins was behind.
Right. The people who had been in the cabin before us left a disaster.
And we're like, hey, cool. You do what we do. We'll run into town and we'll get groceries.
We'll get our groceries and we'll be back. Don't sweat over us.
Uh-huh.
And that's just kindness. That's human kindness. But God knows there are so many people. Oh no, I checked in too. How come my room's not ready? Blah, 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 blah. And they would have freaked out on them. And that is so unnecessary.
Yeah, because we were there in the cabins to enjoy ourselves, and it's like we're not going to inflict damage on someone that is doing their best to make our lives easier.
No. Well, another example of our vacation is there's a restaurant that is at the resort we stayed at, and we had dinner. No, it was Monday night.
It was Monday night. Yeah,
and it was fine, but our server knew. Doing this first job. There's a couple of things that she didn't use an experience to do. That didn't stop treating her with this and making sure she was
and in some of those supply chains, they didn't have everything on the menu.
Well, one thing about this particular restaurant is they are open 5 days a week, and they're closed Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So by Monday evening, they'd run out.
They're running lean.
They were running lean. So I didn't have any onions on my salad, for example. That was okay. I'm not really a big fan of red onions on my salad. I would have probably picked them out anyway. So it was no big deal.
But it became helpful later when the lightning strike hit and it took out power for a couple hours.
Yes. It took out power for a couple hours, but the restaurant wasn't scheduled to open that day. So it worked out fine. And they hadn't received their They're big shipment.
They're
yet.
big shipment.
So it worked out okay for them.
So when we do adventures, we literally do adventures, and we went into town to get our groceries, and the prices. What did you do?
I saw that they were higher.
Yeah.
Than where we are here in Central Washington. We went north into Okanagan County, and into smaller stores. And generally speaking, the prices were higher for goods. But we also saw that if something was on a good sale, mostly canned goods, dry goods, that sale item, the shelf was empty.
Yeah, it's
just gone. It's like, oh, here, this chili's 2 for $5, $2 for $3. Not a single can of it on the shelf.
Yeah, it was stripped bare, and we hadn't seen that. We don't normally see that in Wenatchee.
No, I don't know if you normally would see that even in Okanagan if it wasn't weird like this.
But that was one of those things that we took away really quickly. It's like, okay, people are stocking up.
Yeah.
On goods that can last for a long time.
Yeah. Meat prices were equivalent to what we have down here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is usually depends on where you're. Like, for example, if you're in a beef region in another state, perhaps, or even in the state, sometimes you can get better prices, but they're still in the $7-8 or.
Yeah, because Okanagan is one of our top beef producing sections in the state,
and we should have been seeing better prices, but we were not.
No, it's one of those ones the herds are diminishing because the cost of feed and the drought and the conditions to raise cattle.
Right, it's all a domino effect.
Yeah, so you're gonna see the price of beef continually be at that ultra high level.
Yeah.
But it was interesting going in because normally we're able to go up there and find reasonable cuts of meat.
Yeah.
And we weren't able to do that this time.
No, not this time. So we've been eating, but by this, the price of chicken's going down, and the price of pork is stable.
Yeah.
So we've been eating a lot more chicken and pork, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. Much to my son's chagrin. But once in a while, we find a good break on a couple of steaks, and we have steaks every 3 weeks or so. And we still make ground beef stretch.
Yeah. And so and at the same time going into an area that produces a lot of that material, we expected to see lower prices, and we did not.
No, and that was actually a little surprising. I was definitely expecting to see lower beef prices, but that was not the case.
Because we've done these little adventure trips, and for instance, when you go out on the coast, oysters. Susie loves her oysters, and even though someone will bring in oysters, it's like, can we trust someone because we don't know them to bring in and maintain them, and that's one of those questionable things. So it's like we reserve that for when we're on the coast.
Either we're on the coast or if we know somebody who's coming from the coast. Although if I desperately need an oyster, I'll go for a grocery store oyster because we know that's at least vetted. It's not just some guy in a truck.
So not
that I have anything against guys in trucks.
We do a lot of produce from fruit stands.
Oh yeah, we've been hitting fruit stands like crazy this year.
And that's a really good way to put money directly into a farmer's pocket.
Absolutely, because it just bypasses that middleman. And we were getting beautiful, fresh red cherries for like $2 a pound.
Now it was funny because that particular one was more of a geared towards the Seattle person going home.
Not that one. It was a different one.
No. The one I'm thinking of is, and the reason why is because it's on the right hand side of the road.
No, the one I'm thinking that was more expensive per pound on the cherries. The one that I was thinking was 2 pounds, which was the bulk setup. That's not the one That's not the one that was geared towards the tourists. But yeah, the one is geared towards Seattle people going home across Blewett Pass because it's on the right side of the road. They've got refrigerated stuff. Perfect. It was exactly designed for, I could scratch some cherries for the ride home kind of thing.
But those were the ones that weren't marked by variety. They're just marked red.
Yes, red cherries, which was funny as hell.
And it is one of those goofy things because we've been in fruit producing sections for years.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you go to the grocery store, you get Rainier cherries and you get sweet red cherries.
Yeah.
Which could be Bings or Skinas or Sweethearts
Mhm.
or any number of sweet red cherries. There is a variance in flavors in those cherries.
Oh yeah.
By a long shot. A Bing is so much sweeter than a Sweetheart.
Mhm.
Sweethearts are firmer fleshed and have a little bit more of a tang to them. I love a Sweetheart cherry. It's just delicious. Now I want cherries.
Now you want cherries.
But we got, oh my gosh, the blackberries we got last weekend were huge, size of my thumb, sweet as all get out. Those were delicious.
And you know, the kind of the general rule is you bring cash.
Yes.
Because that way you save the processing fees.
Yeah, if you can, when you're dealing with small businesses, the cash is always smarter.
I'm not going to say always smarter.
Usually.
Because for instance, we're a small business,
Mhm.
and we prefer the do debit or a straight out of someone's checking account, because it goes straight to the insurance companies.
Right. And
we're not charging fees or anything like that.
No. But we're also not a retailer. We're talking insurance here.
Technically, it's a retail space.
I get it. I'm sorry. That's not the ang. That's not
I'm not going to overlap that. Oh, cash is king for all small business. No.
Cash is awkward for our situation.
Mhm.
But if you are buying goods,
Mhm.
and you want to save them processing fees, give them cash.
Yeah.
You know.
It helps things out. Now that's one of those things that's gonna play havoc with those tips.
Yes.
Because tips have got to be declared, so if you're able to write them off.
Right.
So yes, if you're one of the people that have cheered for the no tax on tips, there's rules about that. It's got to be declared.
Mm-hmm. It's always have to. It's
got to be itemized. Yeah,
the tips has to be itemized.
It's got to be itemized.
Itemized tips.
It's only up to $12,000.
That's not a lot when
no, it's
that's
not.
$1,000 a month. I know people that can bring in $1,000 a week on tips.
Yeah, and it's only certain industries.
Oh.
So yeah, it's just I don't know if the tour guides can, but I know the waiters can. So there's a difference in how it's applied. No. You need to talk to your tax expert, and particularly if you're cheering for that.
It's really simple. It's like, oh yeah, what that was buzzwords.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about buzzwords, and it was not actually something that's honestly usable.
Yeah, so that's one of those things that's people are going to get a surprise about that.
Yeah, and they'll probably end up paying taxes more than they expected.
Yeah, the overtime's a similar one, but that's another story.
That's a whole other conversation.
We're on vacation, so let's
we'll stick with that. So one thing that we also did is we went up to Othello to visit a store that Matt had been.
No, it wasn't Othello.
No, you're right. It wasn't Othello. It was Orville.
It's on Lake Osoyoos.
On Lake Osoyoos. And Matt had been following this particular little store they called Local Granola.
The Local Granola.
And Matt had been following them for years because they've
21 or 22.
Yeah, they founded towards the latter end of COVID.
No, it was towards the beginning of COVID.
COVID was like 19.
COVID didn't start until 20.
Oh. Okay, so it was in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was in COVID, and they founded a little co-op kind of store.
Yeah.
Consignments and
they got some farm fresh stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like when you go to the webpage, there's about 5 or 6 different mainstays for that. Mm-hmm. They're working on bringing in a cafe.
Mm-hmm.
But it was important that we wanted to stop in on a border town.
Yes. You could literally see Canada from where we were.
And because we know that there is a decrease in tourism by a lot.
Yes.
These are the small shops that are really hurting.
Yeah, they really are. I saw 2 Canada plates, 2 BC plates. One was a car, one was a truck rolling through. A semi rolling through. It's like, okay, there should have been a whole lot more Canada plates than that.
Well, when we were going home, when we passed Omak, there's a big monster of a Walmart down there.
Yes.
And you could tell that it wasn't being shopped as heavily as it used to.
That Walmart is a magnet for Canadians crossing to stock up, and it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Because of tariffs and taxes and all that kind of stuff.
It was not nearly the volume that we're used to seeing when we pass by there.
No, it's usually packed to the gills, and it was not.
So that's kind of one of those. It's like, yeah, you can see that in Tonasket there was a protest about the tariffs that we passed, and we
those tariffs and Medicaid.
Cheered them on. One of them was waving a Canadian flag, welcoming Canadians. And so, yeah, you're seeing those northern towns that are really getting hit hard economically.
Yeah.
And so it's just take the time if you're in a state to go visit.
Yeah. Take a minute. Visit your smaller towns. Visit your local purveyors. Look at the guys who are. Look at the companies, the small businesses. Yeah, you are certainly welcome to go to, McDonald's, or you can go to any of the chain restaurants. Yeah, go to Olive Garden in Montana. Woohoo! But you've also got some amazing small businesses. I mean, where do we find the pork sandwiches?
That was Butte, Montana.
Butte, Montana. Small something we never had. It was a pork sandwich. It was delicious, and we would have never found it if we had pork chop sandwich. And we would have never found it if we had been, let's just go get a burger at McDonald's. Because if we went to Safe, if we went to the chains where it's like it's homogenized, it's homogenized. It's always the same thing over and over and over again. If you are in a dodgy spot, not necessarily a bad idea to go that way, but we weren't in a dodgy spot.
Well, we've had really good luck in going and exploring the ins and outs of America. And it's really important to do, because these are places that are not only struggling now, they're going to be really struggling next year.
Hey, one of the best pieces of baklava I ever had was in Boise, Idaho.
Oh, that was Montana as well.
No, that was Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah, College Town.
That wasn't Idaho. That was Montana.
You sure that wasn't? Now I'm going to have to go back and look.
You go back and look.
I am fairly confident.
Montana.
I am fairly confident that restaurant is in Idaho. I'm gonna go look.
You're gonna look and you're gonna apologize to me.
Or I'll look and you'll apologize to me. Of course, it probably will be somewhere completely different. But either way,
it was Montana, University of Montana.
No, it was Boise. It was University of Idaho.
University of Idaho, we encountered the Basque Museum.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah.
You got a t-shirt out of that.
I did get a t-shirt out of that, and that's another small population in the United States that came over from, it's like the Spanish-French mountains and settled here, and they had the sheep herder culture, the strong men, Andre the Giants from the Basque region.
Yes, exactly.
So you by going out and traveling these different regional things, you start to learn about the culture of America and its blend.
Exactly.
I had someone ask, they were moving to Seattle and they were looking for Polish. And that's kind of a rare one in our part of the world.
Yes, most of the folks who are Slavic moved from the Midwest when Boeing opened.
The largest population is in the Seattle area. They actually got a festival and a few restaurants.
Very nice.
But in our state, though, the largest immigrant population that we experienced from Europe was from Germany.
Yes.
And that's why you'll go out to the middle part, and you'll see actually Odessa has a Bavarian Oktoberfest,
and we've got Leavenworth's Oktoberfest and Poulsbo.
That one's kind of more artificial.
Oh.
That's a tourist.
Leavenworth, absolutely.
Absolutely. But Odessa's legit.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to the difference in the actual culture, and we had the roadhouses.
Okay.
and that was part of the culture. Was you had the tavern setting where everyone did their business, and occasionally you'll run in these little tiny towns. You'll run into the old roadhouses that are still in operation. And it's very Wild West, and it used to be dotted. I want to say it's every 20 to 50 miles. Basically, it's every stagecoach line.
Oh, there you
stop.
That makes sense.
And you'll run into these, but you don't, if you don't look for them, or if you don't know what to look, it's like, okay, why is there a, this one tavern in the middle of a thing, and is it family friendly? And it's like, yeah, some of them really are that way.
Well, they had to pivot.
What?
Well, they had to pivot when the 50s hit, and then we became a car culture, and everyone was, in the that whole thing, long trailer time. Yeah, you had families traveling, and that's when motels were started, and those taverns had to become restaurants for anybody that walked in.
Well, they were restaurants for anyone who walked in because everyone conducted business there.
Well, yeah, that's true. And if they were the only game in town, you couldn't have it it couldn't just be a bar.
No. And that's what you start to pick up, these little pieces of culture. And it's like, well, how do you bring that here, to a larger town that might not, one of those have not survived.
Yeah.
And that's really important because you start to bring back, it's like, okay, how do I bring this tasty pork chop sandwich to Wenatchee?
Well, what we're starting to see is a good example of that are the dirty sodas.
Yeah.
The soda shops that are still exist and were basically founded in Utah.
As an alternative for the coffee.
Right. And they're starting to spread west, and we're seeing some examples of them creep into Washington.
Yes, and you got to pay attention if you're going to bring in some of those aspects. You need to really pay attention to why.
Yeah.
Why things are created a certain way. One of the biggest things is we ran into someone that was doing a dirty soda up here in a drive-through setting. Was they didn't have where you could read the menu.
That was tricky.
And so unless you knew what their particular flavor of Shrek soda is, you're kind of at a blind, and it kind of holds up the lines.
Yeah.
So there's kind of methods to madness.
They hadn't quite gotten their menu situation was awkward.
It's a start. It's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress. They're new. It's a new business. We're going to give them some grace, and they'll figure things out.
Or they won't.
And that's on them. But we've got a defunct Sonic here in town.
Yes, that is one of those.
And it's in litigation, so it's probably going to sit there and be defunct for a few more years, to be honest.
Well, commercial space is one of those things that is really at a high premium. It's always been a high premium here in Wenatchee, because you'll have for basically they're not, some of them aren't owned locally.
Yeah.
And so they will sit vacant for years.
Yeah.
There's no sense of urgency to rent them out. Sometimes they're rented out to inappropriate things. Yes, I'm eyeballing the churches and retail spaces. I'm not a fan of that because retail should be retail. And at the same time, they're working harder on some of the new construction going in to be a multi-purpose zoned. So you'll have the shop or the restaurant at the base of a apartment building.
Yeah, and we're seeing that. We've got a few of those here, and you're seeing that more frequently. They're building one here in downtown Wenatchee. They're working on that, and that is commonly considered. I mean, that's true gentrification is what that is.
Yeah,
it is.
It's one of those ones because it's very East Coast in the brick building stuff. Yeah. And I'm okay with it. What they haven't done in some of the things is really, and it's one of the things we're struggling with in Wenatchee, is what you'll do is you'll have the center lane is made for through traffic. then you'll have a green belt, and then you'll have a secondary access road for the businesses and parking.
Okay.
And they do that because, well, they've discovered that a lot of the accidents come from people running into each other in those intersections because they're trying to find a business.
Yeah.
And that boils down to city engineering.
Yeah. And that's not just that's an art is what that is.
And that's some of the crunch that we're running into here is one of our local hamburgers places. It's been here since the 80s.
Like 25 years.
Yeah. They've been here for a long, long time. Iconic. One of the first things you come in, their city is working on trying to do a walking space around back
and
carve out the front for the parking lot.
And reduce the accidents at that intersection.
They're trying to reduce the accidents at the intersection. And at the same time, it might cost that business.
Yeah, it might actually cause the business to close. And a lot of people are saying, listen, you need to look at alternate options besides cutting up this business owner's business. Because there's a big chunk of unused space right across the street.
And at the same time, I think that he's going to be facing an uphill battle because he's on the other side of 70.
Yeah, and they're looking at that. All right, so we're out of time.
So hey, travel.
When you travel, seek out small businesses.
And
support them.
And because that is just absolutely critical. Because that is what builds culture in America.
It builds America, period. All right, bye.
Bye.